If this was an assessment, you take a break from writing your code and you generate some test plans so that you can ensure that your final program is bulletproof. Remember that your complete outcome testing should allow you to check all the logical pathways. In this case, I'm going to display the secret number at the start of each round, and that means when I get to round 1, I can choose to get it in the first go because I know what the secret number is. Here's my plan to check infinite mode. You might wish to take a screenshot of this plan so that you can use it to check your code later on. And here's my test plan for regular mode. It checks alternate pathways to those that we checked in infinite mode, and once again, you might like to screenshot this plan so that you can use it to check your work. And here's a plan that allows us to check most of our boundaries. In an assessment, you do need to make sure that you've provided full boundary testing either here or earlier in your program. Again, please feel free to screenshot this test plan and then use it to check your work. The final test plan is our unexpected value where the users quit before they play any rounds. At this stage, you should have a fully working program. Here's some things that I'd like you to check. Underneath your functions area, you should have a variable called endgame that has been set to no. We can then get the game parameters, find out the number of rounds, and play the game. I've put in my rounds component where the rounds start, and that includes a while loop that's been collapsed. Once the round has ended, I check to see if my end game is yes, and then I break out of the loop. And you probably remember when we developed our rounds component, inside that while loop, if users do push the exit code, we set that end game to yes. Once you've integrated your rounds loop into your base component, you should check that it worked correctly before moving on. Once that does work, your next step might be to create your game history. So a reminder that you'd go up to the top of your program and in the main routine area, you'd set up your game history list. Your next step would be to create the feedback that you're going to add to your game history, and then ask the user if they want to see the history, and just test the history feature first. Once your history feature is working, you might want to create a stats feature. Remember that back in Rollut 13, we had some statistics code, and you're welcome to go back and revisit that code and recycle anything that's useful. One big hint for the statistics mode is to set up a second list called all scores, and once you know how many guesses users have needed for a given round, that should be added to your all scores list, which should then allow you to calculate the statistics once the game has ended. Remembering, of course, that this will only work if the users have played at least one round. Your job is to complete your base component and test it, and then commit your code to GitHub. Once you've completed this project, you should be ready to attempt the assessment.